Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Thank you everyone for staying with us. So I do appreciate that. I'm Uyag Mofwegwe here on Global Television, welcoming you to Global Morning. We're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. It's always a delight to have you join us here on our program. Today presents an opportunity for us to take a look at very critical issues around our nation, Nigeria. But our focus essentially on the program today is on the economy and where we are, especially when you look at inflation figures, whether it's headline inflation, food inflation, or the nominal inflation. Overall, today, we're hearing that inflation numbers stand at 27.33%. That's not a good place to be because just at about this time last year, we're doing 20%, and Nigerians did were amazed. Nigerians actually felt the brunt, but today is far worse. To even think that there's now projection saying unless, and of course, something urgent and drastic is done as quickly as possible, we could be looking at 30% inflation rates by the end of these years. So the question is, what are some measures, very radical measures, maybe, that we can take as a country, as a government, as an economy, and of course as a people, to not only ensure that doesn't happen, but to reverse the trend. Of course, in the middle of all this, entrepreneurs, business people, investors, and all of those who have thrown their hearts in the ring in terms of driving the economy want to also be sure that they are able to not only break even, but they want the economy to get off the ground and do far better. The president, on his part, we understand, has been making efforts in this direction. But for a country that, as of more than 5 years ago, already had over 3 million SMEs, what are we doing with this, if you like, cluster of businesses? All right, how do we create wealth in the face of these daunting economic challenges, particularly inflation? Let's not also mention other aspects of the headwinds. This is one issue we want to take a look at on the show today. We also want to review the papers for you and just give you a snapshot of what the news is saying. We'll look at the papers shortly after this break. But just to let you know that we also will be playing you a report on the One Chance menace, and then give you an insight into what the dynamics are with this set of criminals and what the police say they are doing to track them, or if you like, stop them in their tracks. We have all of this lined up for you on the program after this short break.
An apparently peaceful traffic situation can turn into a nightmarish experience with the activities of the popular but ignoble criminals called One Chance. They are violent criminals who disguise as either commercial drivers or as passengers. The trick is to shout, one chance, giving the impression that the vehicle needs only one passenger to move. But jump in and you jump into a pile of miseries. Kabiru Adamu is a security consultant and confirms that this pattern of crime has taken an alarming dimension.
It is a common occurrence in most city centers. In Abuja, as an example, it's very difficult for you to go to any space where there are a couple of persons ranging from 3 up until 10 that you will not find at least 1 to 2 to 3 persons that have not been victims of one chance, as long as the persons are using commercial vehicles.
So I entered the cab, hailing Pape.
Chidinma is a young mother. She had a terrible and pathetic experience in the hands of the criminals.
Chidinma was dropped by her sister right about here at around 8 o'clock in the evening. A Mazda car driven by a man and one other passenger at the back pulled over and hastily picked her. Destination, Mpape. But the journey was doomed because a set of horrible things started happening at the inception of the trip.
Merely I entered. The passenger by my left, was behaving as if he was collecting his balance from the driver. So I felt comfortable. I guess they did that so that I wouldn't have to notice what was going to go on. So immediately after he collected that balance, the next thing he did was to stretch his hands towards my side, and here was on my neck, while here was trying to stop me from opening the door by my right. So as I tried to open the door by my right, they were shouting, you better cooperate. You know, go cooperate, but you won't die. You won't die this night. She said, go feel come out from this car. This is go feel come out. You know, go feel come out from this car. They were beating me. The first person that hit me was the man in front. So he punched me with, I don't know whether it was a ring on his finger or a rod. Mainly he punched me. That was when here, the blood started oozing from here. So I was in the pool drinking my blood. Then they now told me, lie down. Okay, lie down. No, go lie down, ba. So I was struggling. They've collected my stuffs. They've collected my bags at that time. I didn't have my bag with me. So they were telling me, no, go lie down, ba. So I thought they wanted to rape me as they were telling me to lie down on the floor of the car. So as I tried to lie down on that floor, the one by my side too now slapped me, and he tried to strangle me too. That was where this marks came out from. So he was strangling me. I was telling me, no, you go die this night. Maybe you no one cooperate. You go die this night. You go die this night.
Chidinma was lucky to escape alive because she did not fit the correct profile of the perfect victim the criminals were searching for their sinister intentions.
By the time they were done beating me, it wasn't like the madam, you know what you go do now? You go cut your breast. I said, okay, sir. He now said, do you have kids? I said, yes, I have kids. He just kept quiet. The next thing I saw was that he told me, okay, oh yeah, get up.
Alone in the night.
This young lady was also lucky because she survived and agreed to share her experience with us.
I've been attacked in this beggar before. I was hit from behind. My phones and everything were collected. And it took me years to be able to stand in beggar and get a car and pick up a cab.
In a daring display of impunity, most of the criminals move around with POS machines for ease of stealing money out of the bank accounts of their victims. Security experts explain that this is very possible, especially with the emergence of new financial outfits who ignore the vigorous security check on customers before opening customer accounts.
A lot of the instances that we've monitored, they actually use the financial systems. Now, the reason for this is commonplace. Number one, we do not have a national database for individuals, Nigerians actually. And more importantly, even the banking system has not put in place infrastructure to reduce the possibility of this from happening. And then secondly, where it happens, to trace the perpetrators, arrest them, and then prevent further crime.
Abuja is Nigeria's seat of government. It is also a bubbling cosmopolitan city that attracts people from every part of Nigeria and even abroad, who come mostly in search of economic opportunities. But like many emerging cities facing the challenges of growth, crime has become a major issue. The June 2023 edition of Nigeria Security Report for Beacon Intel, a security consulting firm, shows an increase in crime in not just Abuja but other major Nigerian cities. The FCT Police Command says it is doing its best to fight crime in the territory in order to protect the security and welfare of citizens.
We have created a tactical squad called Anti-One Chance, which they have been charged with the responsibility of these one chance activities to wipe away, in conjunction with the DPOs as well. The DPOs are doing on the divisional level, and this squad that I mentioned, Anti-One Chance, has been deployed also to each division.
The FCT Police Public Relations Officer says the police needs the cooperation of the victims and other citizens in order to tackle this despicable crime called one chance.
Sometimes these modus, they change their modus. Though we've identified the modus they are using, but when they know we identify them, they also change their modus. So when if you find yourself as a victim, it's only wise and advisable that you report these incidences to the security agencies.
I actually did not believe that they could do anything about it. That was why I didn't report to them.
There were law enforcement agents that do not see this crime as a major crime. We've been in instances where we've monitored this development on behalf of our clients. We will report the cases by providing the telephone numbers that were used in the crime, the account numbers that were used in the crime. The response you get from the law enforcement is that they have bigger challenges. And this is the effort they will use in stopping this is not what the benefit.
Victims survive and injuries are treated, but the emotional scar takes a very long time to heal.
It took me months or if not years to actually recover. And psychologically, everything around me now, even if I enter a cab now, I will start to be conscious of where I am because of everybody around me is a suspect.
The one that was repeatedly beating me, I didn't see the one in the front, his face, but the one at the back, I kind of saw his face. So when I see someone that looks like that person, I'll be like, are you sure it's not this man that beat me that night?
Kabiru Adamu says commuters should avoid flagging vehicles along the road. Instead, approved and designated motor parks should be used. Anjum Abdullahi.
Thank you everyone for staying with us. Let's turn to the papers for you. But just to let you know, to join me reviewing papers this morning on Global Morning is Timothy Wanchuku. He's a public affairs commentator. Joins us live via Zoom here in Abuja. Timothy, it's a pleasure to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So we're starting with the Punch, and the big story here says reps probe 447 billion naira COVID spending, summon 83 MDAs. Of course, you and I know that Nigeria became some kind of a hotspot in the heat of the COVID-19, and we saw what some persons had called frantic efforts to curb the threat that was posed by the virus at the time. We saw efforts from across board, from corporate organizations, public-spirited individuals, state governments, federal agencies, and so on and so forth. One would have thought by now we are looking at the gains that came from all the efforts made towards taming the monster called COVID. But instead, we are now probing those we suspect may have lined their pockets with monies made for public interest endeavors. Are you still there, Timothy?
Yes, very well, I'm here.
So I was hoping you could respond to that real quick. Yes, the summon by the House of Reps. Yes.
Yes. First, I want to commend the Federal House of Representatives. Of course, they have the responsibility of representing ordinary Nigerians across the geopolitical zone. Now, I'm talking about COVID-19. Every one of us knew what Nigeria, and of course, all over the world, every country passed through during the COVID. So it is very necessary. I support the plan, the move by the Federal House of Representatives to ask questions, to find out how the funds that were donated was utilized. Was it misappropriated? Was it used for the purpose with which it was earmarked for? For Nigeria to make progress, we need physical discipline. And then I'm surprised that it has to take the Federal House of Representatives to bring up these questions. We have the Anti-Graft Agency, we have the EFCC, we have the Federal Responsibility Commission. There are 8 government that are statutorily with the responsibility of checking how public funds are being utilized. But all the same, I must commend the Federal House of Representatives. And I must use this medium to call on the relevant agencies of the government that has been given invitation to appear before the Federal House of Representatives to cooperate with the Federal House of Representatives, because this money are money contributed by patriotic citizens of Nigeria. We need to reinvigorate the confidence of ordinary Nigerians, our donor agencies and international partners in the Nigerian project. Imagine if at the end of the day you discover that the money, the funds donated by private individuals, the private sector, and donor agencies was misappropriated. Do you think that individuals and our partners will have confidence to invest into Nigeria at a time that we are looking for all the possible the finances to fund our national budget? So I commend the Federal House of Representatives for initiating the investigation, and I'm just hoping that the right thing will be done and that we as Nigerians will be able to make progress and move forward.
Excellent. Timothy, I don't know, I'm not so sure how much you have followed Edo State politics, especially in recent times. When you look at the Punch newspaper this morning on page 7, even though the headline is on the front page, it says Obaseki's deputy joins governorship race plans campaign. It's talking about Comrade Philip Shaibu, the deputy governor of Edo State. I want to assume you have followed the drama that has ensued between him and his principal in the last couple of months. But now we understand he has joined the governorship race, even though we know there are several controversies along that line. What have been your thoughts regarding Edo politics? Because there's election in that state, off-cycle election, I should say, next year.
Well, there is this peculiarity. It's not just about Edo State in particular. You can see what is going on in Ondo State, where the governor Akorolodi has been bedridden for some time and have refused to relinquish power to his deputy. We saw the news yesterday about how 7 billion naira was utilized without the approval of the State House of Assembly. So this is a common phenomenon in Nigeria. We saw this play out during the President Olusegun Obasanjo era, where he vowed that the vice president would not succeed him. So it's a common phenomenon. No governor, I don't know the problems of the governor. They don't usually want their deputy to succeed them. We saw that play in Ebonyi. I think it was just Ebonyi State and Kano State, Ganduje and Omai, that were able to fight through, were able to become governor. So let's see how Edo State politics plays out. But one thing is very sure, if the people are with you, regardless of the political party that you decide to pursue your gubernatorial ambition, I can assure you that the people will vote for you. But we all saw how the fight between the deputy governor and the governor, he had to be locked out of his office until he had to, capitulate and beg them. Usually have a governor like Obaseki, who Nigerians running around behind him, and the other people running around behind him to fight against Godfatherism, should not be seen to turn to do a U-turn to endorse Godfatherism, which himself fought against. Yes, we remember that Adams Oshiomhole wanted Pastor Ize-Iyamu to succeed him when he fell out with Adams Oshiomhole, but the people of the state stood solidly behind him. Now, he should give everybody, the other aspirants, he should give everybody a level playing ground for the people to pass through the primaries. Whoever the people chooses, nominates, should be the flag bearer of the party. But I can assure you that Philip Shaibu may not eventually emerge as the flag bearer of PDP, going by the challenges that they were encountered with his government. So I want to believe that he has a plan B and going to run maybe through another political party. Let's see how that turns out. But the lesson should be, we need to understand and understand why is it that governors, presidents are not always comfortable for their deputy, for their vice to succeed them. We need to change this narrative. It is even better and more advisable to have somebody who is your vice succeed you, because he has been part of the economic policies, part of the government. He knows the challenges, he knows the successes. He was part. It's believed that he has been a part of the process. So bringing someone from outside sometimes simply means we are beginning this job all together from the beginning. But it's even better to groom your deputy, groom your vice. He wasn't imposed on you. So this is a lesson that we need to study, we need to try to undertake to find out what exactly goes wrong in Nigerian political space that prevents political office holders from allowing their vice or deputies to succeed them.
Notes now with the Punch newspaper. One story here says that Tinubu woos G20 investors. FARC meets over multiple taxation. Let's talk about the president wooing foreign investors at G20. Of course, it's not the first time we hear that President Bola Tinubu has flown out of the country, and for almost every single flight he makes out of this country, his aides tell Nigerians that the idea behind it is so he can attract foreign direct investments. Can we say the investments that we have made in these trips are commensurate with the results we are getting, or is it too early to be looking at, if you like, the outcomes? Are you still there, Timothy? Okay, I can imagine we lost connection with Timothy there momentarily. We hope we're able to reconnect with him. But in the meantime, we also have a couple of other headlines here on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Osun CJ, court workers protests, assembly lays scenes. BRT users lament shortage of buses, long queues. Israel, Hamas, women, children carry war burden. Families await hostages. As of yesterday, over 14,000 lives had already been lost, and the war has not abated, even though there have been vehement calls for a ceasefire to happen, including from the U.S. Think about that for a second. Of course, the UN has consistently made that call very loud, but let's see what happens in the days ahead. Our next paper this morning is the Punch, the Tribune, the Nigerian Tribune. We're moving away from the Punch. Let's look at the Tribune for you. All right, that's the last paper we'll look at before we talk to my next guest on the show. By the way, I should say a big thank you to Timothy Wanchukwu, public affairs commentator, for coming on the program this morning. But let's turn to the Tribune quickly. 3 headlines above the nameplates. We'll see how many we can feature from there. Economic recovery, editors Confab wants FG to reduce deafening anxiety among Nigerians, says media sustainability crucial to democracy, economic growth. Impeachment. Akeredolu Ayedatiwa's supporters plan protest in Ondo. Appeal court dismisses Ondo Assembly's application against deputy governor. Still above the nameplate, we have a story with a picture of President Bola Tinubu. It reads, highly educated workforce, Nigeria's biggest advantage, Tinubu tells investors in Germany. Of course, we understand that the president had jetted out to Berlin, Germany for the Africa end of the G20 summit. It's actually on the sidelines of the G20 summit, all right? Let's see, it's called the Africa Compact Summit, okay? But there's also a story with a picture of the, some people will call him, embattled governor of Plateau State, Governor Caleb Mufwang. It says APC set to take over Plateau Assembly from PDP. That's on page 15. CBN postpones MPC meeting again. You can read details of that story on page 7. Appeal court affirms Alia as Benue governor. A Western liberal democracy not working in Africa, Obasanjo. Details of that story await you on page 14. We understand that that comment has earned the president some very bashing criticism. Supreme Court to hear Lagos Ekiti suit against FG 34 other states over lottery control March 13. Obaseki to lead Delta Ondo Ekiti to repurchase shares, reorganize BEDC to solve electricity crisis. 110 million children in Nigeria at risk, more vulnerable to climate change. That report is according to UNICEF. Subsidy removal, FG records over 1 trillion naira monthly revenue inflow, Wale Edun. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper. Now, that's the last we want to look at quickly. All right, above the nameplate of the Nation newspaper, it says retirement directive unsettles adamant police officers. Impeachment. Appeal court rejects Ondo Assembly's fast track request. We're committed to transparency, says Lagos procurement agencies. Rumble in federal civil service over permanent sex secretary's promotion exam. The big story, however, on the front page of today's Nation newspaper reads, Tinubu to Siemens, speed up investment in power, rail. I thought we already had one conversation with regards to the power sector in Nigeria going between the leadership, the government of former President Muhammadu Buhari and the same Siemens. So what has happened to that? Do we have closure now? Or did we just put up several events where we ate, drank water, read a lot of papers, went back home? Any results from that to show, to impress Nigerians, to give them some hope, some lights at the end of the tunnel with regards to how we are working hard at ensuring that there is a turnaround in our power sector? Incidentally, we're taking a break now. When we return, you'll meet my guests and we will be talking about how inflation rates and other economic realities impact the ability to make great wealth in the country. In the meantime, talking about one of the efforts government is making to ensure that we drive our economy as quickly as possible. I have a special report that focuses on what the federal government says they're doing or they've done so far with regards to the Ajaokuta steel mill, which we are told is the biggest in Nigeria. Sharon Ajay takes it from here.
A cross-section of Nigerians has reacted to the announcement by the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Prince Shaibu Audu, assuring of the federal government's commitment to complete the Ajaokuta steel construction project, which is said to have the potential of creating 500,000 jobs for Nigerians. Nigerians have aired their views concerning the issue of the ongoing Ajaokuta steel construction project. For a steel complex that has been comatose for decades, many Nigerians are full of expectations, and it serves as a test of government resolve. However, Edward, for instance, does not find the story particularly inspiring.
We've heard so much about Ajaokuta Steel, and it's like at a point we're beginning to lose hope. But because hope is the essence of life, we believe that this government, or whatever successive government, should do something about it, because Nigeria needs it. And Nigeria is more important than anybody. So we are believing that because of humanity, we need it. We can't continue to be stagnant. We need to move forward.
Roberts, on the other hand, expresses optimism and advises Nigerians to keep hope alive while constantly believing in and supporting the government.
The time has come for us to actually believe in the words of Mr. President. You understand, he's a pragmatic person. He's focused, and he has direction. And he has armed himself with technocrats. And I believe so much in the words of the Honorable Minister, who is a representative of the President of the Republic of Nigeria. And also, you have a permanent secretary, you understand, in that ministry that is a technocrat. And I believe that they will swing into action very soon.
For Wasil Awar, a civil servant, more commitment to the Ajaokuta Steel Complex is expected of the government, considering the need to industrialize Nigeria in order to encourage local production.
We have the natural deposit of this steel in Nigeria, so it cannot just be wasted, it cannot be moribund. If the other subsequent previous administration have been coming, they are making lips emphasis on it. But I think he is more pragmatic on it, as he laid emphasis on it now. But you have to realize that the Ajaokuta Steel is not going to start from embryo. It has gotten to a stage before it was moribund. So now what he's going to do now is to resuscitate it. So by resuscitating it, all the manpower needed, the capacity and capability needed, he knows them. Just to ask them to come back. And once it is top on his agenda, so if it's top of on his agenda, it's going to lay emphasis on it, and the thing will be prosecuted.
Sharon Ajay reporting for Global TV News.